All right. Hey YouTube. Home server show here. We're doing number 268. My router is better than yours. I don't know if that's true. I'm just, that's the clickbait, right? That's the clickbait. No, we're talking. We're going to be talking with Chris Courtney, Drashna in the forums. We're going to be talking about my PFsense versus his Sophos. I think I said Astaro earlier, but it's Sophos, right? Sophos bought
It's
Astaro.
either, yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
either or. Hey, Chris, are you adverse to showing screens? If if not showing your own screens, either on a web page, with some examples.
No, I'm not averse to showing my screen.
Okay. Now, I really don't want to show mine because it's got my external address, and that's a dedicated IP address. So, I think I'm just going to show. Because I read through some of my YouTube comments earlier, and I don't want to show my outside IP address.
Oh,
People are
I'm not
mean.
afraid of.
I guess that's why we have the firewall, right?
Yep.
People are mean. PF. PF. Sense. I need a demo. Where's a demo? Getting started. The hardware. Overview. Config. Tutorials.
Don't have a Hyper-VM of it yet.
No. I should have done that. I can do a screen scrape here. We can look through it. All right. Hey guys in the chat room. Good to see you here. We are live. We are live. If you're watching on YouTube, you can go to homeservershow.com/live. If you have Sophos Dave. See, they're already getting on to me. If you have Sophos Dave, you wouldn't be worried about it showing your outside IP address. Well, I know, but I shouldn't be worried. I need to close this video screen so I don't look over at it. Because I need to look there at the camera. Okay. You ready, Chris?
Yep.
I need to tell these guys. Doot doot. If we're alive. CEH means I'm ethically bound to hack you. Consistent buffering issues. Well, I've done speed tests tonight, and my upload is really good. That's one thing I can do is let me bring up my router, log in. Maybe I could do status, traffic graphs. I could do the LAN. That would be, let me get the LAN started. That way, I got some data going. All right, here we go. And click the big fancy record button for the audio. This is an audio podcast.
Yep.
This is the Home Server Show, episode number 268, recorded on September the 10th, 2014. My router is better than yours. Welcome back to the Home Server Show. I'm your host, David McCabe. I'm joined by Mr. Christopher Courtney tonight. Chris, how are you doing?
Great.
Great.
Well, mostly.
Mostly. You've got a little bit of a head cold. That's okay.
Yep.
That's what mute buttons are for. Just, if you really got to cough something up, maybe you might just want to turn the camera away so we don't have to, see all that. I did that a couple of weeks ago. I was just I was under the weather. But hey, YouTubers, live streamers, audio pod downloaders, hey, welcome. Home Server Show. We're going to be taking a look at a couple of routers tonight. Software-based routers that you install on PCs. And Chris and I are going to go back and forth on that. We've already started. Let me tell you, we've already started. And I've opened the can of worms about not wanting to expose my outside IP address. And the chat room's just already tearing me up. See, I know as soon as I show my outside IP address, they're going to try just to get in anyway, just so they can, like knock on the door. Hey, Dave, I got in. Do I get a cookie? So, let me, I can kind of hear a little bit of feedback, Chris, in your ears, just a little bit. We're going to send, Chris keeps on podcasting. We're going to send him, we got to send him a setup so he can podcast with us. Hey guys, Home Server Show is the Twitter address, so get out there to twitter.com/homeservershow, and you will find out when I'm going to be podcasting. We have a great forum for you, homeservershow.com/forums. Please get out there in the forums and get out there with those guys. Awesome place to be. All the questions you could think of. Actually, the thing is there's probably more information out there on PFsense, Sophos, and Untangle out there than you're going to get from this podcast tonight. The forums have tons of information about these three products that we're going to be kind of talking about tonight. So, also, if you're live on YouTube and you want to chat with us, throw some questions out there, disagree with us, you can go to homeservershow.com/live and you can get into the chat room. It's free. You don't even have to log in. No passwords needed. Okay, quick rundown of the news. We're going to try to keep this in a nice compact 1 hour format. Hey, it's the last call for the meetup. I'll put a link in the show notes. If you're coming to meetup, which is September 20th, that's around the corner. It is so around the corner, and I'm feeling it. It's that time of year where I can really feel the pressure. So I'm starting to order catering. I'm starting to put together everything, and messages are starting to fly back and forth a lot more frequently. So, hey, please sign up for Meetup, and that link will be in the show notes. Or you just go to the forums. You'll see it in the forums, homeservershow.com, if you live in the Indianapolis area or nearby. We got guys driving from very far away, so you have no reason not to come to Meetup 2014. It's going to be a great time. Great time. I'm going to try to do a show next week. I know it's, I'm doing this every other show with Surface Geeks every other week. That is, I like for the Home Server Show guys to have something to listen to, as you're driving. I think I would like that, Chris. I think that if I was making that effort to drive or fly to one of these things, it would be cool to have something to listen to, one last show before I got there. Actually, so I was thinking about doing a multiple Surface Geek and Home Server Show podcast, and just doing we'll just do a party podcast. I don't know what we'll talk about, but think about it. If you want to join, maybe we can do that next week. Speaking of party podcasts, Mr. Jim Collison, he's got, I don't know, I forget what he's doing. He's doing something. His schedule didn't work out with work or something, so he's not going to be here tonight, but I think he's going to be podcasting tomorrow night over at The Average Guy. One more thing about the meetup. I am, slowly putting together some for sale items. I'm throwing together some things that I may have a little for sale table, make like a little rummage sale, possibly. I can take, I'm gonna have a Media Smart server. I've got, here's one right here, right there on video. I'm gonna have a Media Smart server. I've got all kinds of little things that I could probably sell. The problem is I'm having a hard time finding enough time to log into everything and clear it and reset it. So we may just even do that at the meetup itself. So I know I've got some routers, some access points. I was even thinking about selling. I've got this last OnePlus phone. I may sell that. I don't know. I was thinking about keeping it, but so I can take cash. I got a credit card swiper, so I can take credit cards, PayPal, whatever. So you don't have to do anything special. T-shirts. I might have some 3% T-shirts left over, so we may do that. So, all right. One guy that's not making the meetup this year, Paul Barron. He's got an opportunity where he's gonna go work in Germany, and but he shared a link tonight. Western Digital unveils the world's first 10 terabyte hard drive. Chris, I don't know. Did you see this crazy amount of storage? We were just talking about 8 terabytes being ginormous, and here comes 10.
Yeah, I'd seen the 8 terabyte, but the 10 terabyte, nope.
Yeah, this is crazy. Just a few weeks after Seagate announced theirs, Airfield, I think it's a helium field drive. I don't even know how they're doing it. How are they getting 10 drives? I mean, 10 terabytes into this crazy drive. Cool, cold storage, active archive, cloud storage. I don't know what they're talking about here. There's a link in the show notes if you want to read about these guys. I mean, it seems like they've jumped from like 4 to 6 to 8 to, to 10 here. It's kind of crazy. I'm just now starting to accept 4 terabytes. Like, that's honestly too big for me to purchase at this point. Way too big. But I'm not. I guess you guys that download the TV shows and stuff, maybe you need some big space.
Oh, definitely. My pool's like 40 terabytes, so definitely
geez.
more.
You know what? I need for you guys to show me how to do this stuff. I wore my my zombie T-shirt in to celebrate. I've been watching The Walking Dead, and I would like to get maybe the last couple of seasons. I don't think the last couple of seasons are on Netflix. I may be mistaken. I'm only up to season 3. I don't know if you've ever watched The Walking Dead.
Up to season 3, I kind of lost interest in it, but yeah, and I don't think Netflix does have the last season or so. They're usually like a season or 2 behind, unfortunately.
Yes, I think they are. So, which that makes me go and purchase on Amazon, and I don't want to do that. So, okay, so yeah, I'd rather break the law, I guess, is what is coming down to. But anyways, I'd probably like to even just get you guys to show me how you do all that stuff anyway. Some automated process, I'm sure you guys have.
Oh yeah, it's very simple.
Of course. I found something tonight. Maybe I can even show you guys this. A new service called cloudup.com. I'm not going to show it to you. I'm just going to tell you about it. It's really, it's not a whole lot to it. Cloudup.com. I think you have to be invited to get into it. But it's almost like a OneDrive Dropbox kind of thing. It's web enabled. There's no apps. I don't think yet. I think they're trying to get some apps, but you can easily share. You can store. You can share to Twitter, which is kind of cool. Facebook, all that kind of stuff. And there's some limitations, but you can do. I forget the I forget the limitations. It's really kind of lenient on what they let you do. Like you can do 1,000 items up to a certain size each. I need to FAQs, frequently asked dummies. Every CloudUp user can add 1,000 items up to 200 meg each for free. So technically you have 200 gig, but 200 meg is the limit. But you can do that 1,000 times.
Well, that's definitely a very different, interesting model for the file sharing.
Yeah. Of course, you can pay to do more.
Oh,
Now,
of course.
now I've yet to really could I use this as almost like a CDN? Is like load all my images up on this, and I'm going to try it. It is from the guys at Automatic, which they do the WordPress stuff. So
it does definitely seem like it's geared for CDN. Host a video or whatever on your blog, put the link in the for it there.
Yeah, definitely. And that's what I want to do, is try to throw that out there. I was thinking about, I've got a bunch of videos of my kids playing football, and I was thinking about sharing that with their coaches and game film, game film, 7-year-olds. And just seeing how that works. So cloudup.com. Oh, I said it doesn't have apps. It's got a freaking Windows app. What am I thinking? It goes in your tray. It's not like a Windows Phone or anything, but Windows 8, Windows 7, stuff like that. There's a little tray app that works. I have not tried it yet. I've downloaded it on my Surface Pro 3, but I haven't done it yet. So I'll put the link in the show notes. We're on to Iosafe. I haven't talked about Iosafe in such a long time, but they just did a new video, and I swear, Iosafe must destroy everything they make. I hope they sell some boxes, because every time I see them on video or talk to these guys, they're destroying something. But there's a new video. I'll throw it out there in the show notes, and the CEO is once again taking a box and destroying it. But this one is cool because Iosafe, I don't know if you remember, Chris, they came out with a 2-bay fireproof, waterproof NAS. And that was
yep, I definitely remember that.
Powered by Synology, which that's like the coolest freaking thing in the world. I saw that 2 years ago at CES. Well, now they've come out with a 5-bay fireproof, waterproof NAS. This is very cool. Very cool. But they're in this video, they're destroying it. So I thought the host of this video was a little creepy, but take a look. It's kind of fun. And it's the typical Iosafe video. There's going to be fire, there's going to be guns, and lightning striking and stuff like that. So it kind of reminds me of I'll put the link of my first video in the show notes. It was like one of my first YouTube videos ever, and I burned one of their boxes. And that was way back in the day.
Well, it's fun to throw something on the fire and watch it burn. So,
yeah, because I did this video so long ago. That was before anybody really started openly destroying their stuff, right? So I had an itch. I didn't have permission to do it. I didn't talk to him about it. I just went out there and threw it on the fire. It was fun. I enjoyed it. And then I got an interview out of it from the CEO on the podcast. I need to look that up. That was pretty cool. So while I was digging out YouTube links, I ran across my YouTube numbers, which, we're not a big show. We're not a really big show, but we have 1,400 subscribers on YouTube. And that grows, honestly, every day. I get subscribers every day. And so 256,000 views. That's a lot of views. That's a lot of stuff going on there. Let me look at Surface Geeks. I'm sure that channel is doing.
Well, you definitely have lots of good content, so yeah.
Well, I'd like to think so. Some of my content is pretty crappy, back in the day. But all right. Well, Surface Geeks has 1,300 subscribers, over 1,300, and about 230,000 views. And Surface Geeks is a lot younger than Home Server Show, so it's catching up. So Home Server Show has to jump on it. I went back and I watched a video on we were installing Essentials 2012 R2 on HP microserver, and this is when we didn't know that the onboard NIC would freeze and you couldn't install it. And it was unsuccessful, and I never came back. I never came back and installed it on this box and finish the series. You know, there was a couple of comments like, dude, you never followed up with this. I'm like, I know, man, I know. It's because I changed gears, right? When you meet failure, you step back, you reevaluate. So I reevaluated.
Well, some people step back. I tended to keep on trying until I get it working.
No, I did. I just did it on a different box. You know, we did finally get it working on this thing, but I never bothered with it. My
HP,
N50. What on the HP?
Yeah, HP. I think for at least a firmware to fix the issue with that. So
they did. I stuck it on a USB stick, and it's somewhere over there by the server. I don't know where it's at.
Is it even loaded yet?
I don't even remember. I honestly, I don't know. I've never used that box. I've never found. I got sucked in to this microserver thing. Everybody's buying one. Everybody's playing with it. So I had to buy one, and I never did anything with it.
Well, you could always throw Sophos on it, Dave.
Well, it's got 4 drive bays. I don't need a 4-bay NAS router. I don't. I don't know what I need with it. You know, this thing back here, this little MediaSmart server is a perfectly fine little NAS box. You just, you know, if you need to throw data on something, throw data on it. I've got 2 Synologies. I've got a 2012 server with Essentials on it. I don't need any more.
Yeah, you definitely have enough servers there.
I don't need any more. So, I don't know. I doubt those guys are still listening. I apologize. Maybe what we should do is grab the microserver. That's if I don't sell it next week at the meetup. I'll probably sell the damn thing. We need to just roll through and install it, Chris. I don't know what else to do.
Oh, definitely.
We'll just have to do it. If anybody wants to like be involved with this kind of follow-up video, let me know. We'll try it. Let me know. A little bit of news, CES 2015. I just wanted to throw this out there. I know it's early, but right after meetup, I have to really start planning CES. Last year was such a bust. I got snowed in to Indianapolis. I could not get out. I did not go. I had everything ready. I had equipment sponsors. I had another website that, you know, wanted my work, and it was really going to be cool, and I couldn't get out. All flights were canceled. It got to the point where I could have gotten out like on Wednesday, but it was just, no. I wasn't going to pay the amount of money, and it was a mess. So I'm booked. I've got my badge. I've got hotel. I've already got my hotel. I don't have flights, so I'm still working on flights. And I don't know what I'm going to do this year. I don't know if I'm going to do any kind of live stuff. I may try it. Jim Carlson, he may even come out. I don't know. I just don't know exactly what I'm going to do. I know I want to take my rig. I know I want to do some video. I might be able to like push out some YouTubes, you know, and have some fun and do some videos because I love doing that. I got a killer rig. I had a brand new tripod ready, brand new monopod ready. I've got a case for my camera, which my camera is an iPad Mini with 4G. I ended up taking that back to the store because I didn't need it, and so I'll probably have to get a new one of those. But I've got mics, wireless mics, lights. I've got remotes. You name it. I'm ready to go. Ready to go. I just need a flight. So if you're going to CES, let me know. Maybe we can hang out. Maybe we can do something together.
Well, signed up. I'm just waiting to hear back from them. So hopefully I'll be able to.
Did you sign up with press credentials?
I don't honestly remember. I think it might have actually been with the IT credentials when I signed up with CoveCube. So
okay. Well, that's cool. That'd be fun.
Definitely.
It's not too far from San Diego, right?
Nope.
Just a little bit of a drive.
It's like a 4-hour drive.
Yeah. Oh, drive through the desert won't hurt you.
As long as the AC's cranked up.
Yeah. All right. So we've got a couple of minutes here to do. I haven't looked at chat yet. I've just been rolling like crazy. And Joe says we like your podcast from CES. Yeah, 2 years ago. 2 years ago was just not good. I mean, I ran like crazy, and you know what I need is I need to do it for someone else, probably. To someone to like either pay us or put us on their feed to let them see what we do. If they could just see what we do and see how we bring live video, it's not high quality, super high quality, but I mean, because you're streaming it out of there live, but it's instantaneous. You know, I can be on the show floor and something news can break and it's like, bam, go there. I'm there. There's no writing involved. There's just a story, and we can get it done. Let's start on this router thing, Chris.
Absolutely.
The reason I got back into PFsense is I left PFsense. I don't know why. But I bought I should have brought it with me. I've got it unplugged. There we go. I bought the Zywall USG20. Now, that's a commercial router. It's a big-time router.
Yeah.
Not big time. It's like Cisco or anything, but you know, it's a pretty decent router. I know why. It's because I was getting pissed off at it. To map a port through that router is the most difficult thing I've ever done in my entire life. There's so many freaking steps to do it, and I was just pissed off at it. I was pissed off at it. Didn't want to do it anymore.
Well, it's meant for higher end customers, so yeah, they definitely make it a lot more difficult to just do that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's not hard if you get a sequence of steps, but it can be confusing. There's a lot of in and outs. It's a mess. It's a mess. Honestly, I don't remember. I remember PFsense being somewhat cut and dry, but I remember screwing it up a lot too on PFsense and not being able to get it mapped through. So I'm going to have to jump back into that and see. I've got a couple of ports that I like to map and get that done. But so I left PFsense. I went to the Zywall, which is not an expensive router. It's like anywhere from $120 to $150 for a router. It's very powerful.
Lots of options on it too, I'm sure.
It does have options. It's got some pay options where you can do anti-spam. I think it'll even do some spyware type, stuff. So, and that's one thing that I've got to get into here soon. I've got, a 7-year-old, and they're doing more and more stuff on the computer. They're going to want a computer someday, so I need to really secure it and really know what's going on in my network. So I thought, let me throw PFsense back up. I downloaded a CD package, CD-ROM. I haven't burnt a CD-ROM in decades. I had to find them. I didn't even know if I had any.
I had to actually go out and buy a DVD drive recently to reinstall Sophos.
Well, I have 5 billion USB drives, but for some reason I kept screwing it up, and I could not get the image on to a USB stick, PFsense. I don't know what I was doing wrong.
Or sometimes it just doesn't apply the image right and it won't boot.
Yeah, I was like, there's an easy way out. Bam.
Yeah.
It's called I hate to tell you this. It's called a Mac, and I burned a DVD. I don't have a Windows machine with a DVD player. Actually, I do. It's my server. It's a Blu-ray reader, but I guess I could have burnt it down there. But I just used the Mac. It's got a DVD thingy in it. And, it's pretty easy to burn. It's built right into the OS, so you can just burn it. So I tried that with something. I forget what I was doing. Oh, I know. My little Core i3 box down here. I've got a Blu-ray reader, but it's dead. It died. So I was using the
yeah, that's the other problem with it.
Yeah, paperclip eject. Shoving it in there.
The optical drives tend to.
Yeah. So I'm back on PFsense. I haven't been on there long. I have not been on there long. I figured out that since I left it, this was my PFsense box was my backup router. So I put the Zywall in, and I just unplugged the PFsense box, and I just laid it on its side and put it right beside the cabinet where I have the router and stuff set up. And if that thing ever would have failed, I'd have just plopped in that PFsense router right in. And honestly, that's what I did. I just went downstairs, yanked out the USG-20. I waited a little while to let the ports kind of refresh MAC addresses and reboot the switches and stuff. And then I just stuck PFsense in there and booted it. Bam, I was on. I mean, it was just instantaneous. So I guess I set it up correctly. I do have a dedicated IP address, and I had to set all that up. But very easy. Setup is very easy. And what it did is I guess it saw that I had an older PFsense version on the hard drive, and it upgraded. So everything was out there that that I had done earlier. So it was really weird that I just, as a test, Chris, I always do this. I take my phone, I turn off Wi-Fi, so I'm on a Verizon IP address, and then I hit my outside IP address, right? I do an HTTP, and I looked at it just to see what would come up, just to make sure whatever console on WAN is off. That's the last thing you want, is your console to come up on your external IP address. So I made sure that was off.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
I got login box. As soon as I hit my IP address, I got a login box. Like, whoa, what the heck? What's going on? So it had been so long since I had used this box that I had a little web camera, not a web camera, but a little D-Link Wi-Fi IP camera, and it had pulled the IP address of something long ago that I was using port 80 on. Probably the MediaSmart server back here to do remote login. So that's what popped up. Like, well, security hole. We don't want that. That's probably the camera that's in my living room, and someone would be jumping on it and watching me sitting on my couch eating bonbons, watching The Walking Dead. But so fix that up. I think I did anyway. I need to test that again. And the only funny thing is to be honest with you, I could not find it in the router. I could not find the NAT statement or whatever was piping that through the firewall to get to that router. So I tried to clear all the tables out on all the NAT tables, and I don't know if UPnP was on or something. Something went wrong. Maybe I need to turn UPnP off and then reboot it and try again. But I thought I tried it again and it didn't work. So hopefully that's the case. If it's still too strange, Chris, I'll wipe it and do a fresh install. It's that easy.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
Sophos installs a little bit different, unfortunately. It sets up the static IP address for it, and then you have to connect it and then run the initial configuration after installing it.
Okay, so that's interesting. So the first topic is install. So obviously, PFsense you can install. You can burn a DVD. You can burn a bootable USB stick, and I just couldn't make it work. I'm sure you guys out there probably know how to get this to work.
I had issues with Sophos doing it, so sometimes it just doesn't.
Okay.
But
Somebody says it's buffering out there in chat. I'm sorry, I don't know what is buffering. I'm pushing out a constant. I'm looking at my PFsense logs and my graphs. I'm pushing out a constant 4 megabits per second. Maybe it's about 3.5 meg per second. So
it might be my connection because it's not that great apparently.
I don't know.
But I know the PFsense, it runs through the initial configuration and basically it's done. Like it's good. It's good and set up and ready to use right away. Sophos, it's meant more of to be a turnkey solution, so it's set up and then basically it's ready to be turned on and configured by the end user. So then you configure it for what options you want enabled. So
I'm going to go back to the slowdown. I'm sorry to interrupt you. There's guys watching it live. This is Internet Slowdown Day. I hope that doesn't have anything to do with it.
Yeah, that might actually be why.
I watched Netflix just fine this morning. So you guys may be listening. I don't know if you just go straight. excuse me. Go straight to the YouTube page, youtube.com/homeservershow. Maybe you can see it there. I apologize if it's buffering. We usually don't get complaints about buffering, and I don't think it's our bandwidth. It may be. I got storms in the area, but like there's a couple of guys that have said it's fine, so I apologize for that. Install is key because it has to be, somewhat friendly, because you're having someone, jump into a Linux world where they may not be a Linux guy, i.e. me.
Well, that's why I like Sophos. It's almost entirely web-based and it's very, very turnkey.
Okay.
But
let me ask you one more question. There's one box that you and I haven't run, and it's Untangle. Have you had any experience with Untangle at all?
I tried it for about half an hour and decided I didn't like it.
It's usually how things like that are. It's like
if I remember correctly, half the modules are require you to pay a monthly subscription and stuff for. And it's but I don't want to pay a subscription. I just want to test this out, and that was pretty much the deciding factor. Yeah,
I remember that too. A couple years ago, and this may have been improved by now. I got an ISO of Untangle burnt, and I installed it. And then it did fine. It asked me all my stuff. And then it said, do you want to try out these modules? And I'm like, oh, those modules look fun. I'm going to try those out. And it was just a trial, right? And then it kept nagging me. And I had enough. I couldn't figure out how to get them all removed. I was going to have to redo it. And I'm just like, no. Back to my PFsense. And what I had done is I had taken my hardware that I run my PFsense router on, and I just pulled the hard drive out and put another hard drive in. So it was an easy just swap. Bye-bye Untangle. Honestly, it pissed me off. Whatever they were doing in the background really pissed me off. So I haven't tried it ever.
Yeah.
Now, I know the guys that talk about it, they talk about how great it is as almost like a bridge after your router. Or, it would be before. If you're on your home network before, you go through the Untangle and then hit the router and then go out to the internet.
Well, that was the other problem is I didn't want to have two devices.
Yeah.
I just
to
wanted
manage.
to have, one less device to manage, one less thing pulling energy.
Yeah.
And one less point of failure.
Yeah, exactly. See, and other guys are saying, I tried PFsense, got lost, switched back to Untangle. It may be just what you try first. That may be what...
Well, I tried PFsense first.
You did? Okay, we'll get to it. We'll get to it. We'll go down the list. So install On PFSense, it's pretty easy. It comes up to a console-based install. It's not web-based. It asks you questions if you want to go ahead and put on your LAN IP address. So you put on your LAN IP address, and then after you do that, of course, you can get in to the web-based interface. But you could still keep assigning interfaces. And honestly, that's what I did. Is I assigned my LAN via console. I assigned WAN via console. Set up DHCP via console, and then turned it off. And then I took it, to where my connections are, and then fired it up, and I was good to go. It worked out really well.
That's definitely where Sophos differs. The initial install asks for which is the internet adapter, which is the LAN adapter, the IP address you want to use, and that's basically it. Once you boot into it, you load up the web site for it, and then it asks all the other questions and stuff.
Okay.
Like what services you want to allow, web filtering, etc.
Okay. All right, so let's back this thing up. How about the hardware? PFSense seems like it'll run on pretty much anything. I've got it, I don't even remember what I've got it on, not much hardware at all. I think it's a Pentium D. It's a little heater of a CPU that is not really power friendly, but that's what I've got.
Not entirely sure of the hardware requirements, but I do believe it's similar to PFSense. However, some of the more advanced features like the antivirus or the web filtering does require more resources.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to...
Yeah, so I've got a Intel Pentium D. Actually, it's 3.4 gigahertz. That's what it's reporting inside the system.
I've
dual core.
Intel Atom processor running my Sophos.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely don't need all that processor. What I did is there was a hospital in town where I used to live that was selling their old gear that they were using, and I got a little computer and a little 15-inch monitor for like $40. And I threw a second NIC card in it, and bam, it's a router. So that's how I came about that thing.
Well, I picked up something off Newegg, that little nice mini ITX form factor with dual LAN adapters.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and you can always watch Newegg and the refurbished deals. You can usually find like a refurb mini desktop for $100 or less, and create a little computer. Most of these guys listening probably have enough hardware laying around that they could create a router. The question is, how much power are you going to be burning? You don't need a huge NVIDIA, GPU. You just need bare bones almost. A gig of RAM, maybe 2 gig.
Well, especially since it's going to be running 24/7, the low power draw you can get from it, the better.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So not a lot of hardware required to get started with this thing. The interface. I know this seems to be like the blockade for the PFSense guy or the Untangle guy or the Sophos guys. Is looking at the other guy's house, looking at the interface and saying, "Man, I'm just lost. I'm going back to my house." Now, what I've always heard.
Well, Sophos, it's very turnkey and very simple design.
Well, that's what I've heard. I've always heard that PFSense is a little clunky, where Sophos is a little more like refined. It's a little prettier.
HTML5.
Yeah. So it's a little nicer. how is it you say, for a guy who's just maybe getting in from a Netgear, a Linksys, and saying, hey, I'm going to try what these guys are doing so I can do some filtering and stuff?
Pretty easy. Like he's showing here the web interface. It pretty much has everything laid out there, and getting to stuff is fairly simple.
Okay, that is fairly pretty.
It is. It's all done with HTML5, and it just works very, very well.
Okay, so you got all your interfaces and stuff.
Though some of the stuff, like setting up the port forwarding, is a little confusing at first. And obviously, I have more than a few entries here.
You just kind of have to learn their way on how they do it, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And once you figure it out, it's simple. And the nice thing is, most of the entries everywhere in the UI has the clone option, which will make a copy of that rule, and then you can just edit it for whatever different service or like.
Now, since we're talking about port forwarding and that was a topic on the discussion, do you have to do anything in multiple places? I mean, do you have to create like a host name and do the NAT and then do the firewall and then activate it, or is it just a one-stop shop? It's
just a one-step shop. You can do it in multiple places, but here, editing the web hosting rule I have, you can see it has the automatic firewall rule, and you click that, save it, and it will automatically create a rule for the firewall for you. So there's none of that doing the multiple steps. It's very simple, straightforward, and turnkey. So, one of the issues with it that is the firewall. By default, most firewalls, the routers, will let any sort of internal traffic out. Sophos doesn't do that by default. It gives a number of categories by default. The DNS, terminal applications, email, file transfer, and web surfing. It actually asks which one of those you want to enable by default too during that first setup wizard. You can create a rule that basically functions as the normal firewall stuff, but it locks down everything basically. So unless it's explicitly allowed, it stops it.
Okay. I'm wondering how. I guess a lot of game traffic is going to go over 80 anyway.
A lot of it, but game. Yeah. More games. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of the game stuff will be blocked by default. The two options for that is either dig up the traffic information for that and manually add those, or you can allow one specific computer to access the outside on any port if you wanted to.
See, I don't know if I like that.
It takes a little bit to get used to, yeah.
I don't know if I like that outbound. Go ahead.
If you notice here, in the web UI, one of the advanced options for that is you can actually specify a time period, which is defined elsewhere in the UI. So.
Okay, so you could turn off of game between X time, or turn off
you can
ports, I mean.
Or for like your kids' computers, if they have like games they want to play, you can specify that it will allow that traffic during this time. So,
so there's a benefit. You could, turn it off during homework time. They can't. Oh yeah, Dad, I'm just reading Wikipedia.
And if you notice, like on the firewall rule, there's little on-off switches on all of them. So you can easily just go in there and turn off the rule or turn it back on.
Right. Okay. So it's got some pluses and minuses there that
yep.
I can definitely see. I don't want to ask about UPnP because I know a lot of people are like, you know, in myself, I like to turn it off, but some folks like it, and some folks are going to actually require it, you know, to get UPnP to get some of their stuff working through the system. Does it have it?
Not that I've seen. I haven't really looked
Okay.
for it because, like, I agree. I don't use UPnP. I want to
Yeah.
know what stuff's getting through.
Exactly. You don't want something to automatically.
Yeah.
The USG20 that I was on the Zywall, no UPnP. Just forget about it. PFsense though does, and I believe you can actually turn that off. I can go to Services, UPnP, and NAT, and there's Enable. Enable UPnP and NAT PnP, and there's Allow UPnP port mapping. So
Nothing like that for the Sophos that I've seen. So
there's definitely that. Okay, just throwing that out there for anybody who's thinking about it. Okay, got that.
yeah.
What?
So one of the other nice features with the firewall is there is a huge list of default attack pattern stuff. Let's see if I can.
I mean, you're telling me it's like almost a UTM, right?
Well, it is a UTM.
Okay.
So
It's like, is it UTM first, router second?
it's both.
Okay.
The intrusion protection stuff, the UTM stuff, you can disable. You don't have to turn it on. But obviously, if you have it there and you might as well. Especially if you're running any sort of like the web services. Like here, it has like all the different attack patterns, and like if you're running like a web server, you should definitely consider about having that stuff turned on.
Now, PFsense has mod security. If you're a Linux guy or you run your own website, I know you've heard of mod security. I haven't run it on my PFsense box, but I was thinking about running it. In that I run it on the web servers, so all the web servers have it. But yeah, threat protection, attack protection. It's pretty cool. Monitors, you know, it emails you, hey, we just blocked this IP address, or you know, you can say block this range or do this. Now, when you get into blocking ranges and stuff, or if you try to block whole countries, you know, it really tasks the box. So you have to be kind of careful when you say, you know, block China, block Russia. You have to be pretty careful when you do that, so you don't.
And Sophos also has the country blocks.
Okay. See that on my home, I would do that instantly. Let's just block some countries. They don't need
Block
to be
Russia.
getting into You don't need to be getting into my personal IP address at all. Web servers are a different thing. But so it has a pretty decent intrusion mechanism. You're comfortable with it?
Very.
Okay.
One of the other things it does have is if you are running a web server or a mail server at home, it has a specific protection sections for that where it will reverse proxy it. So the connection goes to it processes the request, and then sends that request to your server, and then back out. Kind of like what the Nginx and stuff does. So it adds an additional layer of security for that stuff.
Okay. Interesting. I'm almost like trying okay, sell me on it, you know. Now the other thing is Untangle. Untangle's, I think, a pretty good intermediary as well. Now, I say pretty good because I know the packages
can
be it can be confusing on what is for free and what's, and if you ever have to pay for anything, it's expensive.
Especially if you're paying for a bunch of the different modules.
Yeah, it can be expensive. It really can.
Well, that's also It's also one of the other advantages I like about the Sophos UTM is it has the web filtering built in. Um, I believe um, PFsense calls it Snort,
Mm-hmm.
um, or no, Squid. Sorry, the Squid proxy.
Snort is just a sniffer.
Yeah, Squid and Squid proxy is a reverse proc, or it's a transparent uh, proxy and filter. Lets you scan and uh, retransmit the pages transparently. So when you're browsing a page, the router is actually looking at it, the contents, and can filter out stuff. Um,
Okay, I'm looking
uh,
in the packages, and there's Squid, Squid 3, Squid 3 Dev, Squid Guard, Squid Guard Devil, Squid Guard Squid 3. See, this is the problem. It's like,
yeah,
okay,
and
there's,
have you looked at the instruction manuals for setting those up either, Dave?
yeah, I'm sure that they're very, very convenient and step by step, right?
Yeah. Sophos has a nice little switch.
Beta,
Just
beta, 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 beta. Squid is actually says stable. High
yeah,
performance web proxy cache. Squid 3 is high performance web proxy cache. Combines Squid as a proxy server with its capabilities acting as a reverse proxy. It includes an Exchange web access assistant. So it looks like it's doing some OWA.
well, the
type help.
Exchange is the Exchange web assistance they're talking about, I believe, is for the Exchange Office web app
Right.
stuff,
The official
remote
OWA
access. Yeah,
client. That's not gonna
but
probably not gonna proxy Outlook, Outlook.com.
no, but the Sophos UTM, the web filter, it's got a number of options here, but basically you flip the switch and it's on, and it's already if you put it into transparent mode, which is the easiest, is it automatically takes care of that, so you don't have to set up anything on the clients. So any sort of web traffic that goes through it will be scanned and then blocked or not. Um, it does have a number of options about what you want to block too. Also, it does support the HTTPS uh, decryption and scanning. Uh, the really nice thing about that is if you have essentials, you have a certificate authority, which means you can grab the certificate from that and import it into Sophos, and then any computer that has a client connector software installed will already have all that set up, so you won't have any sort of certificate errors with the computers.
Okay.
That's a little more involved to do, but in the end, it's very nice. And yeah, here's a number of the categories it has for blocking stuff. And it's got a lot.
I see that.
So you can absolutely lock down what your kids are watching, or even just looking at.
Hmm.
Uh, Also, the web filter will block or scan any sort of files that it downloads, depending on what you specify for it.
Okay.
Let's see if I can bring that up. I can never remember where that setting is. Here we go. Yeah, the web. That's the easy list for that. The downloads, it's like I have a somewhat large list, and that will scan or outright block them. It has option to either scan with one or the other antivirus in it, or scan with both. It uses the Sophos antivirus. It also uses Avira. So
Okay. So you could block .exe or .msi, and then maybe scan zips.
yeah,
Is that what you're doing?
yeah. Well, the warning is for when it scans, and I have the MSI, EXE, and a few other stuff, including the zip and RAR, and then you can block extensions. outright from being downloaded.
Okay. That's good. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah. Man, I don't know. Maybe after meetup, I might need to just try this. Maybe I'll do the hard drive swap.
Yeah, it needs at least an 80 gig hard drive. That was the one requirement for it.
An 80 gig. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Because it keeps a lot of the logs and stuff on it.
Okay. Yeah, I got so many stacks of hard drives around here. I can't remember what I have in this little box. It may be 2.5s, just for the space.
Well, that if you are going to use the web filter, it does have a caching option.
Mm-hmm.
So a larger drive is better for that.
I wouldn't mind using the caching option. I find that since I'm a website operator, I don't like it, right? Because I don't want to ever be on a cached page. I want to...
Yeah.
I hit refresh, and I need it to be... I need to know if I'm up or down, right?
Well, there is an exception for that, too.
Okay.
Here. You can tell it to either skip for the hosts, basically from what computers you don't want it to be enabled on at all.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can also tell what domains you don't want to be filtered at all.
Smarty pants. Yeah,
Well,
that's what I would do. I'd probably just set it by domain. I wouldn't mind it caching a few things of mine.
Yeah. Well, it's really good for like image content and stuff that doesn't change very often. Cache it on the router, so even if you go to a different computer, it's cached locally on the network.
You've got it. How about reporting? How good is it?
It has an email reporting option.
Okay.
It also has a very, very in-depth log that you can look at.
I remember one situation. I don't know what it was. No, it was a phone. This was several years ago, where I had a setting on a phone in my house where plug it into charge, it would start uploading pictures and stuff. This was back when I was on DSL and I had like 256K upload speed, and I used PFsense to run it down, so you could go to the I'd plug it in. It's like, oh, the network's slow. You go to PFSense, you could look at the traffic. You can see the IP address that's, the violator. And then you could go in and say, hey, knock it off.
Yeah.
How is it reporting-wise like that? 'Cause I really like that kind of thing.
It's got a lot of options. Just taking a little while. The graph stuff. Log. Sorry, I don't really look into the log stuff, but yeah, it's very detailed, and you can track down, see what clients are using, how much data, like per day.
Mm-hmm. How about DHCP table? I don't know why I'm into that thing a lot.
Yep.
Seeing, what's on the network. If it's got a DHCP address, a lot of times I end up almost reserving, so I know, what it's going to be, like an IP camera or something.
Yep,
I'll let it DHCP, but then I'll go reserve it and then write down the address.
And yeah, it has a bunch of options for that, and you can even make it static from there.
Okay.
So, and specify multiple different ranges for the DHCP server.
When I was let's go back to install. When I was looking at Sophos, I was confused because it had the Firewall download and it had a UTM download, and it confused me on which one I should do. Sophos. Let me just search here.
Yeah, it's got a number of different downloads for it, because it's supposed to say hardware solution that they sell, router, hardware, and other stuff. and then it also has a software appliance, which is what you'd want. And there's one other version it had. But if you're going and installing it yourself, you want the software appliance version.
Okay, so there's Sophos UTM Home Edition.
That's probably what you want to look for, because the home license for it.
Okay, and then there's Sophos UTM Essential Firewall, the free version of the UTM software.
I think that's it. I'm not entirely sure. It's the last couple times I went to their site, they've changed the layout.
Oh, have they? I'll put it in chat real quick so you can see exactly
Yeah.
what I'm looking at. Just take that link and scroll down just a little bit. Okay, so here's one thing that scares me about Sophos, and you can see it on that page. Protects up to 50 IP addresses.
Yep. The home license is designed for only 50 IP addresses for it.
And I don't know if I doubt that I'm at 50, but I mean, it could be close. It very well could be close. With as many tablets and phones and servers and NAS boxes and PCs, IP cameras. I've got a lot of stuff on this network.
Yeah.
I've got a lot of stuff.
And you can definitely run into the 50 quickly, depending on all what you have on there.
Even if like people come over, they bring their phones and stuff and tablets. Let me look at DHCP leases on mine. Right now, I've only got 9 devices that have figured out there's a new router in town. The rest of them are on their lease. They have a lease of an IP address, and they're still on the old IP address, which works. It just, they haven't renewed.
Yeah. But no, I haven't tested to see what happens if you have more than the 50 IP addresses. So
yeah, that could be a problem. I definitely need to check. So I need to reboot the house, make sure everything gets an IP address. I mean, printers. I've got 2 printers that each one of them needs an IP address. It's crazy. I haven't looked to see how much would it cost, right? Okay, get pricing.
Yeah.
Can
They
I
do.
buy a 10-pack of IP addresses? Oh, request a quote. That's where it's going. Oh, man. That's not good. That can never be good.
Well, it depends on how much they're going to charge for it. I haven't really looked into it that much, but from what I have seen, it's not too expensive. It's not like, break the bank expensive. Mm-hmm. Their pricing seems to be pretty good. Like for some of the smaller business ones that they have, the whole hardware solution, it's like about $600-700 a year for it. And considering all of what you get with that,
yeah, that would be a complete no-go for a lot of people listening to this.
Depends on their usage, but yeah. Unfortunately.
Yeah, I would go to like a PFsense Untangle kind of thing before I do that. But
well, if you don't have the 50 or you plan on keeping it beneath that, it's a lot simpler. It's a lot more turnkey, and you're not going to have to worry about having to like micromanage everything or figure out how to install Squid on PFsense.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
let me go through these packages on PFsense. They've quite
there's a lot.
System of packages. Like I said, there's mod security, where you get a little bit of security on your system. I'll probably throw that in there tonight. A lot of this is like the networking guy's dream machine, but there's some, like broadcasts and ARPs and all that kind of stuff. If something goes haywire, there's a package out there to help you find it. There's a system called Bandwidth D. I'll just read. Tracks usage of TCP/IP network subnets and builds graphs and displays utilization. Excuse me. I used to run Bandwidth D a little bit, but I never.
If you can get it working, right?
Yeah, to get it working for you, so you can actually read it and use it.
No, I mean, like when I was running it, half the time I couldn't even get it to like load.
Oh, really? I never had any trouble getting it to run. It was just extracting the data, building something that is useful and getting that minute.
Yeah. Well, Sophos does include like all of those logs, though it's a lot more text-based. It does have a lot of filters, so you can really get down into very specific. It also does have the live logging for all the different sections.
Okay.
Which is kind of neat to sit there and open the live logging for the web filter and look at all the websites that are being accessed, all the URLs.
Yeah. There's something to say about that. I've seen a whole bunch of stuff that I don't even know if it's there's antivirus, HAVP antivirus proxy is a proxy with Clam AV antivirus scanner. IP guard. Oof, tons of stuff.
And a lot of this stuff is not simple to set up either.
I can imagine it's not. InTop network probe. I remember trying that out at one time. Yes, this is crazy. And these are packages. It's almost like an app store. You go in and click, and then you install it.
Yeah.
Route D, RIP protocols, if you need that. Snort.
Yep.
Strikeback, detect port scans.
And there's a listing of how much, I mean, the Sophos logging, there's like a lot there. And you can tell which one's my server.
Yeah, that's nice. And you got a country flag there.
Mm-hmm. Except for their internal ones, obviously.
Yeah. So there's Squid, TFTP, I guess if you need it. I'm yawning. Sorry, I need to do an earlier podcast. Some of these things. HTTP accelerators, varnish. There's a lot of packages in PFsense. It's crazy.
Yep.
For the most part, though, I don't want to turn anyone off of PFsense. It's a very powerful machine. You can install it and almost forget it. If you don't need to, build a whole lot of routing, NAT type port forwarding. I mean, you just put it out there and go.
Well, for any of the router stuff packages, you want to be able to just set it up and just let it sit and do its thing.
Yeah, that's it, and it's fairly robust and protective in its in its base state, which I would feel comfortable with. I cleared my traffic route, so darn it. I had a nice little log of, don't laugh, Chris, you'll cough. I had a nice little log where I can watch. Oh, there it is, traffic graph. Let me.
A live log of the traffic.
Yeah, I'll show a screen here. I haven't showed many screens at all. So there's my local area network traffic graph, and you can see in and out. In right here at about 700 kilobits per second, and out about 2.28 per second. And I'm sure that What is my address? I am 107. Pretty sure that I was going to be the 107. You can see it right here. Anything that's constant stays up. Like you can see my 107 is the in and out bandwidth is constant. But the one thing I don't like about it, you can see how an IP address fades away and disappears. And I wish there was some way that I could build this list where it was constant. It stayed up there. If it goes to 0, it goes to 0. That's fine. I want to see it. So, just kind of nitpicky stuff.
Well, I'm sure there's a way, but yeah, unfortunately, Sophos doesn't have a nice little graph like that.
Yeah. Oh, they don't have a nice little graph like that? This is one of my most favorite things of PFsense.
No.
Is this graph right here. And I can, when I'm podcasting, I can kind of see little things, that's going on. And I like to be able to see that. I like to see if another IP address like this 112 is jumping up and grabbing, a whole bunch of, let me see, I bet you 112 is my MAC over here. Let me grab network. Okay, stop it. Ethernet, 112. So that's my MAC. So 107 and 112 is me, and all these other things are just, quick hits on the network that are fairly trivial. So now the other thing is how is Sophos for like prioritization? Let's say you have a VoIP service or something. Is it have something that's easy to set up, or can you prioritize via IP address? Because that's one thing that I would like to get into is my 2 IP addresses up here that are hammering the network. I want, if I ask for it, I want to get it. If someone else asks for it, I want them to have a lower priority, especially during podcast night.
The Sophos has definitely a very nice, robust bandwidth monitor, or not monitor, the quality of service stuff.
QoS, right.
And even from the log files, you can actually specify the specific services to be lower or higher priority. It's a little more, it's a lot more detailed, and I haven't really gotten into a lot of depth on setting that up. So, but there are definitely a lot of options there.
Yeah, I haven't either. That's exactly what my answer would be. It's like, I know it's there somewhere, and it's PFsense, so I'm probably not going to be able to figure it out, but I know it's in there somewhere. Now, that's one thing that I heard that Untangle has quite a clear advantage, is you can set up your racks, and it has nice GUI set up where you can do things like that.
Yeah.
I was checking the weather again. I don't know if you can see the clouds. We've been getting hammered by rain, just hammered, and tornado watch and everything.
Well, we so need that rain.
Yeah, you guys, I don't know about you guys in California.
Well, we're in an extreme drought right now, so...
Yes, you are. And my pool cover has, more water standing on it right now than you guys have seen over the last month.
That are in some of our dams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
So.
I don't really think I need to ask about the stability question, because you can ask a PFsense guy. He's like, yeah, my router's been up for 14 years. Never rebooted it.
For the last 6 months or so, there's been an update a month for it that automatically downloads as per the default settings for it, and then you can schedule that to install. But aside from that, mine's been up for a month and a half because I had to reinstall it because I made some configuration change that bricked it.
Oh, nice. Good job.
Yeah. It's like,
Nice
wait,
job.
I can't access the network or the router.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Exactly. You listed yourself off, or yeah.
But
Don't you hate
before
that,
that,
when you block 80 in the wrong way? It's like, oh crap!
well,
I just
the worst
killed it.
thing is I think I actually accidentally turned off the network adapter for the LAN. So,
Now, is there a console available for this thing whatsoever?
uh,
Because if I
it
did that with
does.
PFsense, I would just have to go downstairs with a keyboard, plug in, and do it via the console.
There is. It's this Linux console also, but um, one of the really nice features about it is does it have a backup option where it will email you the configuration backup for the server,
Okay.
and you can do that on a schedule like a daily, weekly, monthly.
Yeah, that's nice.
Um,
Don't That's nice.
uh, unfortunately, I apparently set it up wrong or something, and it didn't like my backup file and made it worse.
I've done that before. I did that on Cisco stuff a lot. I never, when you
Yeah.
command line with their iOS. Yeah. Back
Well,
in the day.
it's actually really nice. What I did is I just reinstalled it from scratch, and as part of the wizard, it asks for the license file, and you can upload that. It also asks if you want to restore from a backup, I believe.
Okay.
So that's what I did, and then it still wasn't accessible because I think I swapped the network adapters, which one was which. And instead of fighting that, I just did everything from scratch.
Yeah. Sometimes you just know. It sucks when you have all those port forwards, but that's what I did. I was just like, I'm starting from scratch.
Well, fortunately, Sophos has a bunch of the, at least the services defined, so it's easy just to go in there, set up the port forwarding, and just literally drag and drop the services. So,
Yeah. See,
fortunately,
I've got,
not too painful.
like, my little sticky note here, with some crazy port number forwarding for my Tableau in order to get to the Tableau from external. So just I got a crazy port number on the outside, and that maps to a different port number on the inside.
Yeah.
It's a mess with the Zywall. Oh, it was so confusing. I hated it. It's confusing.
Well, at least Sophos, that's pretty straightforward. It's the source and then the destination.
Yeah, I want it on one page. That's it. I don't want to
Yeah.
have to go to multiple stuff and create
Small
all
little
these
box.
different things. And yeah, just give me a box. All right, so let me hear from you guys out there listening to the podcast. What you think? I don't think we did Untangle any favors whatsoever. So if you are an Untangle guy, I need you to get out to the posts that will be on this podcast. Get out there on the forums and talk up your product. Because right now, I think Chris has kind of convinced me that maybe Sophos is for me.
Or
Except
at least that you should definitely try it.
I have to count my IP addresses. I definitely need to go around the house and reboot everything. Since I've got on a brand new router, I can tell how many IP addresses I'm using and just do a count. I'm afraid that tablets and phones, I mean, just me alone, probably 20 IP addresses. Just me.
Well, I only have about 30.
All right, so that's going to be my homework, and I'll tell you how many that I have.
Well, if you want a cheat, the Sophos on the licensing tab under the management actually tells you how many active IP addresses.
Okay.
And actually, that's the important part, is it's not 50 total, it's 50 active.
Oh, active. Okay.
So,
See, that would help when people come over and want to jump on.
yeah.
Okay. And I've been wanting to do, and I can do this with my new Wi-Fi network with the Ubiquity, and create a guest network and a landing page. Hey, you've landed on McCabe's guest network or whatever.
And if that was still configured as a router with a NAT on it, that would actually, I think, be registered as just one IP address.
Okay. We'll see how this is going to work.
Because if that does, that'd be awesome for you. Also, Sophos does sell wireless router or wireless access points that they don't have any configuration you set up manually. You set it up on the Sophos UTM router, and then they pull their information from Sophos.
Okay. That would be cool to have one. See, right now I'm on AirOS by Ubiquity, and I have 3 access points, and each one of them has an IP address, but it is managed via software, from the server.
Yeah.
So.
That was also one of the other more business line for Sophos is the Sophos Red devices. You plug it into your router, and then you plug other devices into it, and it's basically a VPN box that connects to your main Sophos router.
Okay. I don't want to alarm you, but there's a pretty large wild animal behind you.
Yep.
I don't want to spook you at all, but I think you're about to be eaten. So.
Yeah, that's my Maine Coon cat. And yes, he is very large.
All right, well, we've gone over, and I said I was going to get you out of here in a decent time frame. But, hey, thanks for tuning in to Home Server Show. Like I said, maybe next week. I'm on the fence. I think we're just going to have a party podcast. Maybe if we got a bunch of guys that want to come out and do a party podcast next Wednesday. Let's go 9 p.m. Eastern. Let me know, podcast at homeservershow.com, or PM me in the forums. Please get out there in the forums and make your voice heard. Let me know if you're going to change from PFsense to Sophos. I think I'm going to give it a shot. I think I'm going to wait until after meetup so I can... I've got way too much stuff going on right now. So again, meetup is around the corner. You still have time. I'm going to take sign-ups all the way until next week, but then I'm probably going to turn it off because it's done at that point, But I'm trying to get my numbers for food so I can get a count, so I can order you guys, some cheese and crackers and some water for you to eat. No, I'm just kidding. We're going to feed you good. We're going to feed you good again. Again, for Christopher Courtney, Chris, thanks for coming out. Chris is
thanks for having me.
You bet. Chris is Drashna in the forums, and you can find him out there. He also's Chris, you've got a day job.
Yep.
And you got me on StableBit too. So Chris is tech support and StableBit guy. StableBit drive pool and scanner, good software. There's a link for that in the forums. You need to click on it and buy it. I don't care if you don't need to use it. Just go out there and get it so Chris can have a job.
Well, everyone should use Scanner.
Everyone should use Scanner, no matter what. And this stuff works not only in servers, but in Windows as well. All right, that's been 268. Thanks, Chris. We'll see you guys here next week. See you in the forums. There. Oh, mute button. Coughing up a lung.
Yep.
What does a lung
Sorry for the
sound
background
like?
sound. Oh, and it's warm in here now. I'm starting to sweat.
Crank up your air, dude. I went 22 minutes over.
That's fine. I totally forgot to mention I do have a number of write-ups for Sophos on how to configure this stuff on my server.
Okay. No, just put the link and title in the show notes. I'll throw them out there. We'll get some traffic.
It's a series of posts, so I'll link the category for
it. Link the category. That'd be fine. That's funny. I just, on this MediaSmart server I have, there's one in the floor. You can almost see the top of it. I just pulled off like MySQL and PHP, the one that you guys wrote for version 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just removed those. I'm like, if I'm going to sell that, I probably should take off MySQL.
You probably should just wipe it.
Yeah, I probably should just wipe it. That
Do
was
the factory reset.
That was my
Oh,
attempt to. I forget which protocol it is in Linux, but for my server out there on the net to like rsync to this one, via my private address. It was
that would be neat.
It was an ambitious goal.
That's okay. That was the PHP MySQL add-in. Do you know the backstory for that? Because that's one of the things that pissed me off about with Microsoft.
Great. We need to have.
I don't know if you remember the was it the web platform installer when that first came out.
Mm-hmm.
Like everyone was like, "Oh, excited! Install PHP and stuff on a Windows Home Server." Doesn't work. Was it Jim Clark from We Got Served actually contacted Microsoft and got a hold of the IIS team that was responsible for the web platform installer and forwarded it to me because I was messing with that. And I eventually figured out what the problem was. When they install PHP, they apply it to the default website. But because that's been heavily customized and no longer inherits all those settings, it wasn't inheriting the PHP stuff either.
Okay.
So all they had to do is fix it, or all they had to do to fix it was change their script to include, was it /1 to include the default website, and that would have worked with home server.
And they wouldn't do it.
And they wouldn't do it. In fact, once I realized that's what the issue was and relayed it to them, they stopped returning my emails. Yeah.
Yeah. That product was probably dead when it first came out day one.
That was a few months before the PHP MySQL add-in. So that was long before it died.
Yeah, true. Some V1 days right there.
There are a lot of things I miss about V1, and there's a lot of things I don't.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And there's still people using it.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Unless you like to tinker.
03. What was he listening to? I don't know what he's talking about.
I like the link auto detection.
What?
The link auto detection in there.
Where?
Dave.its.
Oh, yeah.
And then up.actu.
Yeah. What if I click Dave.its? I should get that. Dave.its.
Yeah, website cannot be found. But yeah, Sophos works really well if you have essentials on the network and installed.
I'll give it a shot. I'll give it a...
Need to finish that the web filter guide. That's been a few months in progress.
Oh, okay.
Mainly because I have to remember how to do that, because getting the certificates to use for that was a pain in the ass.
Oh, okay. I might need that.
Yeah, sooner or later, yeah. Or you can just deal with the self-signed certificates and import those manually into each client, which is what it wants you to do.
Sounds messy. I forgot to mention, Synology has an update 5, so anybody still out there in chat, if you have a Synology box, go check your control panel, you've got an update waiting. Update 5. Alright, well I think it's Walking Dead time. What am I going to watch today? I'll just watch here on my Surface probably. Maybe.
Oh, yeah, that was also, you were mentioning at the beginning, the automatic download. Sickbeard.
Sickbeard.
It's a Python package, or there is a Windows exe for it, but it's worth going out of your way looking how to install it from source, to run it directly as a Python app. It gets updated a lot more often. Um, and it will also automatically rename and download metadata for shows. And it can be set to automatically download with uTorrent or SAB NZBD, which is a Usenet downloader. And that works really, really well. Oh, and it will also update XBMC and Plex and a couple other services automatically and send notifications. So
Well, that sounds
it is, yeah, it is a very nice little automation setup.
That does sound good. I can end this.
And if you want to get really complicated, you set it up on your essential server, install the reverse proxy stuff, and you can access it from your server remotely.
Yeah. That sounds too much.
It does, but it takes like 5 minutes to do.
Yeah.
Unless you do it wrong, and then you're like wondering why it's not working. Because it involves the URL rewriting stuff. And I'm sure you've had fun with that.
Yeah. I try to keep things as simple as possible. I mean, I do things on my network, and I come back 6 months later, I'm like, what? What was I doing? It's just like my closet where I have my stuff, right? Boxes,
Yeah.
and gear, and sometimes I'll go in there and clean, and then a week later I'll come out. I'm like, man, I can't find anything. I just
I have that.
don't clean.
I have that problem too, but that's more of a memory issue. Like after a week or two, things start becoming foggy.
Yeah, you think, oh, okay, I'll put this NIC in this box because that seems like maybe that's good. And then later it's like, did I just call Chris the Walking? He is the Walking Dead. Have you heard him? He is the Walking Dead. Now he's going for a cough.
Yeah, that's why I keep on using the mute.
I have network on here. I don't.
But yeah, that's also why I have Hyper-V on my server. I'll sit there and go and play with something, and then, like, if I'm not happy, I'll just go and wipe it.
Yeah.
Oh, that is something that is nice about Sophos, is it's VM ready, so you can install it on Hyper-V or ESX or VMware Workstation or whatever else, and it will have all the drivers and stuff built in.
Okay. You just have to make sure you have a couple extra NIC ports.
No. You just create a couple of the private NICs.
Yeah, but I mean, if you want to use it.
Yeah. But if you're using Hyper-V, you should have at least 2 NICs in it anyways.
Yep. Mine are all in use.
I need a 3rd NIC in my server. I'm not sure if you've used it, but Intel vPro, it's really nice. You can VNC into the server. Even if you're like in BIOS, it'll show that screen and stuff.
Yeah.
So you can see
Oh,
blue
that's
screen. The only problem is the NIC it shares does weird stuff sometimes. Like it just won't connect right occasionally, or there's a known issue that it will degrade the speed. Like when I go and try and watch something and it's really, really slow and buffers a lot, like I'll remote into the server and, hell, look, it's at 10 base T. That's not good. And you have to reboot to fix that, sometimes 2 or 3 times before it starts working right.
Nah, I wouldn't like that.
Yeah. And since I only have...
I'm trying to keep my server now like really clean. My 2011 server, I just destroyed it installing stuff. So if I do anything, it has to be in a VM.
Yep. That's why I stopped breaking my server.
Yeah.
As I think was joked with Sam Wood about that, is I have probably close to 2, maybe 300 installs for my version 1 servers,
Mm-hmm.
and that wasn't counting virtual machines.
Yeah.
Once I started using virtual machines, my server stayed up a lot longer.
That's a lot of install. That's a lot of time. Probably putting in power
Um,
packs too.
Nope. Why do you think the X-Files edition got created?
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, I remember that.
Or
That was a great package.
or John's hack that he found with the restore, the factory reset stuff.
Yeah.
If you have the OEM pre-installation kit from that, you could use that to create a backup image of the system, or at least of the OS drive.
Yeah. Well, he explained that a couple times on the podcast. I don't know.
Yeah.
Probably have to get him back out to refresh that in case anybody ever.
It's not worth it at this point. It's version 1. It's almost dead.
Oh, come on. People like to play with it.
Yes, but you're better off using server backup. It's basically doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, that saved my server recently. It's always fun when you get like certificate service errors. Was it the Active Directory certificate service? Seeing as it's a core component for the connector software,
Mm-hmm.
if that's not running, the connector won't let you install
Okay.
on a computer. So restored to a known good spot.
Yeah.
And it's like was on the forums, everyone's like, backup, backup, backup. And it really is important.
I would have to agree with you. That is still booming back here. Turning off these heat generating devices back here. All right, guys, if you're still listening, hey Jim, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. So if you're still out there, thanks for tuning in. Chris, thanks for coming with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Hope you feel better.
Well, I'm on the tail end of it. I've been feeling better, so.
Good. That always helps. Go get some rest.
Yeah. I have weird sleep schedule.
I can just imagine.
Yeah.
Go to bed, dude. Get you some tea. Go
It's
watch
not
the
like 2
president
a.m.
on
yet.
TV. Yeah. We'll tear something up. All right. See you guys.
Night.
Night.